chapter 17 now, talking about appraisals and valuation. So valuation, valuing property. We've talked about what personal and real property is. We know the differences between that. And moved on into our agency relationships, our contract law. We've got the home built, last chapter. We're now here. We talked about closing the real estate transaction, what it takes to get to that settlement table, and what closing really is, which is the recordation of the deed. And during that due diligence process that we talked about in chapter 10 on closing, on offer to purchase and contract, we know that that is the time period that here in North Carolina that the buyer has to investigate the property. We talked about there are rarely any contingencies. That was a vocabulary word in the definition. Any contingencies on our offer to purchase here in North Carolina. Because we have that due diligence period where the buyer can get out of the contract for any reason or no reason at all, right? And they just give up that due diligence money, their due diligence fee, and that goes directly to the seller anyway. And we said during that due diligence period that the buyer is going to be doing all of their home inspections, they're going to do their pest inspection, they're going to get their surveys done, and they're also going to get the appraisal done. That's what chapter 17 is about, is the appraisal. So we know, based on chapters 13 and 14, our financing principles and practices, we talked about the appraisal, and we talked about the loan to value. And we said that the lender is going to base their loan to value on the sales price or the appraised value, whichever one was lower, right? Whichever one was lower. And I said when we get to chapter 17, we'll learn all about what an appraisal is. So here we are, chapter 17, learning what an appraisal is. An appraisal is just a person's opinion of value. And it's by a special person, somebody that is a licensed appraiser. And that appraisal is good only on the exact time and date that the appraiser completed their work. So it's only good for that exact date that the appraiser actually completed the work. Because if Rusty is our certified appraiser, does he have a license? Does he have an appraisal's license? Yes. We'll learn that he does not need a what? A real estate license in order to perform appraisals here in the state of North Carolina. He just needs to have an appraiser's license. So Rusty is our appraiser. He completed the appraisal on the 1,500 square foot ranch right next door, right? Yay! It's good for when? It's good for today. Because what can happen overnight?
Good for the have a fire, partially damaged, who knows, car driving to the living room.
Exactly. Car drives right to the living room because we're on this major road. Could they decide all of a sudden to ride the road to 8 lanes?
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to come right up to the front door of that house now. Right? So the appraisal is only good for the day that Rusty has completed the appraisal. Hey, Rusty, you want to get paid?
Yeah.
You want to get paid for that appraisal? We're all interested in how we're going to get paid as a real estate licensee. Let's find out how appraisers get paid. Rusty's done the appraisal on the 1,500 square foot ranch next door. Right? Wonderful. How can he get paid legally? How do we get paid as real estate licensees? Right. We get, many times, we get a percentage of the sales price. Can we as real estate licensees here in North Carolina get paid a flat fee? Sure, we can get paid a flat fee. Can we get paid a retainer fee? We can get paid a retainer fee. Let's see if an appraiser can get paid any differently. They can get paid a flat fee. We know they can get paid an hourly rate. Can we as North Carolina real estate licensees get paid an hourly rate as well? We could, if that's our employment agreement with our buyer-seller is written out that way. Can we get paid? We said we agreed that North Carolina real estate licensees can get paid a percentage of the sales price. Can an appraiser? No, an appraiser cannot get paid as a percentage of the sales price. What will the appraiser tend to want to do? Human nature. Let's raise that sucker up, right? If it's going to be a percentage of the sales price, could that influence his pricing? Possibly. So they cannot get paid a percentage of the sales price here in North Carolina. It's either a flat fee or an hourly rate is what we normally go by. Have we all enjoyed hanging out here together? Today is day 9 of our, not day 9, today is day 8 of the hostage crisis, right? 10 days we're hanging out together. Here in our 79-hour free licensing course here in the state of North Carolina. So we're all enjoying ourselves. We're all looking forward to day 10 though, aren't we? Well, guess what? If we were an appraiser sitting in this class, we're sitting here for a lot longer. We are sitting in this classroom for at least 200 hours together. And we all agreed that in order to get a North Carolina real estate license, was there a minimum age? Sure, we have to be 18 years of age or older. And do we have to have a high school diploma here in North Carolina? We don't have to have a high school diploma here in North Carolina either. Do we have to have any sort of formal education here in North Carolina? No, we don't have to have any sort of formal education here in North Carolina in order to get a North Carolina real estate license. It's different when you're getting an appraisal license here in North Carolina. We're completing 200 classroom hours. We have to have an associate degree or higher, so we have to have some sort of formal education past high school. And once you get your license after sitting here in the classroom together for 200 hours, you've already got your college degree or your associate's degree, and then you have to work under a licensed appraiser in North Carolina for 2,500 hours. That comes out to be about 3 years. So you are not signing your name on any appraisal. And we'll learn that an appraisal is a specific report created only by an appraiser. Us as North Carolina real estate licensees, we will never call our comparative market analysis or our CMAs or our BPOs, our broker price opinions, an appraisal. Who can do an appraisal? An appraiser, only an appraiser. So when the appraiser completes their report, they're not allowed to sign their name until they have logged 2,500 hours with a licensed appraiser. So you have to find somebody to apprentice under as a licensed appraiser. And many times if you want, we talked about in chapters 13 and 14, financing principles and practices, that there were the 3 different kinds of loans: conventional conforming loans, FHA loans, and VA loans. What do we call the appraisal that we use for a conventional conforming loan? An appraisal. I was tricking you, wasn't I? What do we call the appraisal in an FHA loan? It has to meet certain conditions, right? So it's a conditional commitment. And then what do you call the appraisal in a VA loan? CRV. What's another name for CRV? Certificate of Reasonable Value. Excellent. So when you have an FHA or VA appraisal, a conditional commitment, or a certificate of reasonable value, you have to be on the approved list of appraisers in order to appraise for those types of loans. So that's what the additional requirements are for the specialty certifications. So that's some of the examples with regards to that. Do we have a licensing board for our North Carolina real estate licensees? Sure. Is there also a licensing board for appraisers? Yes, they have a licensing board as well, and they have certain rules and guidelines that they go by also. And knowing again the only person that can call their report an appraisal is who? An appraiser. An appraiser. We will not be calling our broker price opinions, appraisals, nor our CMAs, our comparative market analysis, an appraisal, because we are not what? Appraisers. So what is a broker pricing opinion? We said that we were North Carolina real estate licensees, we were brokers. So a broker pricing opinion. All broker pricing opinion is knowing that I, as a broker on non-provisional status, can do a broker price opinion legally and can do it for money. And when I do a broker price opinion, I'm making sure the only way I can use a broker pricing opinion is if that is a non-client of mine. That will be somebody that I will not be listing the home for them at a later date. It's just my opinion on pricing. There's a specific form to fill out, knowing that I can do it as a broker. I'm a broker that is non-provisional status, and I can do it for a fee. And then you all, we decided that everybody's going to be licensed by what? April the 10th of 2016. And when you all are licensed April 10th of 2016, you'll be on what kind of status? You'll be in provisional status, provisional broker, knowing that you have to take additional educational classes in order to remove your provisional status. But while you're on provisional status, how do you activate your license here in North Carolina? You're going to be on inactive status. How do you activate your license?
Affiliate with a business.
Right, you have to affiliate with a BIC and a firm. When you're an active provisional broker, we know that you can complete a broker price opinion, but you all cannot do it for money. What the Real Estate Commission says and what you all will learn in post-licensing is that you have to make sure whatever you're doing with your North Carolina real estate license is that you are competent. So don't agree to do a broker price opinion as a provisional broker, knowing that, are you going to get paid, yes or no? No, you're not going to get paid for it. So the Real Estate Commission says do not do one if you're not competent. So me, as a full broker here in the state of North Carolina, can I do a broker price opinion and get paid? Yes. You as provisional brokers, can you do a BPO or a broker price opinion? Yes. Will you get paid? No, you're not going to be able to get paid.
What is it for?
Pardon me?
What is this for? So like somebody's trying to sell their own home?
Wonderful. Johnny is asking a question with regards to the broker price opinion, is why would you ever, as a broker or a provisional broker, ever do a broker price opinion? This came about, and we talked about how the March was doing great, woo, 2000, woo, 2008, woo. Remember? And we kind of fell off the cliff there. Do you think there were a lot of properties we talked about in chapters 13 and 14 yesterday with regards to the financial crisis? And that there were homes were being foreclosed on, and a lot of those were coming back to the bank. What we talked about yesterday. So how this came about, broker price opinions, was banks needed to know what a fair market value was for the property. Do you think when Rusty, as a licensed appraiser, goes out and fills out his URAR, new vocabulary word, we're going to find out what that is in a few minutes. It's his official form that he does his appraisal on. When he fills it out and spends his several hours doing an appraisal with his appraiser's license, do you think, how could he get paid?
Flat fee.
Flat fee? Right, by the hour. We know he's not going to get paid a percentage of the sales, that his bill may be several $100s or more if the bank hires Rusty to do an appraisal to find out what a fair market value is. Or they said, hey, brokers here in North Carolina, brokers and provisional brokers, you all can do a BPO, which is not an appraisal. It is a finding fair market value for a property owned by a bank. Okay, so then if the bank knew the fair market value of the property, then when they went to sell it to the public, and put it up for sale, would they have a good idea? Right. So we know if we're doing a BPO, then we're not going to be the person listing the property down the road. We're just giving them an opinion value. Is that helpful? Did that answer your question? Wonderful. Good questions.
It's another way to make extra money.
Yes, it is. Another way to make extra money. Good thinking. So we know broker price opinion. We know provisional brokers and brokers can both complete a broker price opinion. I can get paid as a full broker, and you all provisional staffs are not getting paid. What we do know is we cannot call it a what? We cannot call it an appraisal because we're not licensed appraisers. So when Rusty goes out to investigate the property and gather the information in order to complete the official UR8R form, that we're going to find out what that is in a few minutes, we know that he is not determining an opinion of value in a vacuum, right? Because we agreed earlier on that a 5,000 square foot home inside the Beltline and very expensive area near the Capitol may cost a lot more than if we picked that same 5,000 square foot home up and dropped in the middle of rural county, Johnston County, right? Is it going to be higher or lower value in Johnston County, out in the country, in a rural area? Right. And Rusty's going to take many things into account. He is going to take into account demand. Are there a lot of people looking for this kind of property? Is it a hot property, yes or no? How is the property being used? Is it easy for other people to continue using it in its current use? Highest and best use. Are there a lot of these kinds of properties, or just a couple? Scarcity. How easy is it to transfer title to that property? Does it have any conditions on transferring title to that property? So we know that Rusty, the certified licensed appraiser, is not looking at the home in a vacuum, taking several things into account. So we're going to hear, we've talked about our broker price opinions, right? What our opinion of value is. We've heard that this word value being thrown around a lot. Let's differentiate 3 different types of values. So it's important to know the difference. We know value in our real estate bubble here is going to be considered worth. Value is going to be equal to worth. Knowing that the price is the actual sales price. What the buyer was willing to pay for it and what the seller was willing to sell it for. That is the actual sales price. And the cost is the actual cost of the materials and the labor that it took to produce the property. We know that appraisers determine the value, the worth. So the price is the sales price, what actually the buyer was agreeing to pay and what the seller was agreeing to sell for. We know the cost is the actual cost of producing the property itself. And we know that the appraiser determines the value. But Dee and I have been in real estate, right? We know what? The best definition of market value is what? What someone's willing to pay. Right. What the seller is willing to sell it for, what the buyer is willing to buy for. And that is the best definition of market value. So when we talk about market value, we're making sure we're talking about this thing called arm's length transaction. Let's talk about what that means. People purchasing when they're free from influence or duress. Free from influence or duress. When we were talking in chapter 13 and 14, Financing Principles and Practices, were we talking about foreclosure? We talked about the foreclosure process. Is North Carolina a title theory state or a lien theory state? Title theory state. So our parties in our title theory state, who is the trustee? It's our neutral third party. Who's the trustor? The buyer or the borrower, right? And then, I know, it was so long ago, wasn't it? It was 24 hours ago. Oh. And she made us do those closing disclosures Because we packed in all those closing disclosures yesterday afternoon, last night, and this morning. So, I'm refreshing your memory. So the beneficiary in our title theory state is the bank. We know that we talked about the foreclosure process here in the state of North Carolina. It's not a judicial foreclosure, right? We're not going to the judge and proving that somebody has defaulted on their loan. So we talked about properties sellers making decisions under duress or influence. So some property is in foreclosure, right? Are we distressed? Would we take it less money to try to get it sold before the foreclosure proceedings started? Right? So is that under duress? That second thing we talked about in the end of chapter 13, short sale. Right? Do we think that that is arm's length transaction? Or do you think people are under influence to get it sold before it goes into foreclosure and they're trying to get it sold based on a short sale? Do you think that when Dee's mom sells her house, if for some reason Dee says, Mama, I would like to buy that, do you think Dee's mommy may say, I'll cut you a deal, Dee. I'll sell it to you for what? 75% of its value. Is that good? Is that arm's length transaction? No. Dee's like, no, that's really close. That's not arm's length, that's close of it. I'm going to give her a hug. Right. Dee says, give my mommy a call. I will. All right. I'll do it all right. So, we know again that the best definition of market value is what a willing buyer is willing to pay for it and what a willing seller is willing to sell it for. Knowing that we're talking about arm's length transaction, people making decisions when they're not under stress or any kind of influence. So when we are talking about back early on when we were talking about assessed value, right? Do you remember that and how we worked in this morning and yesterday afternoon on our closing disclosures, and we were prorating all those lovely way. Annual tax bills. You remember our conversation on taxing? How we came up with our real estate taxes and how here in the state of North Carolina that our tax values and taxes were based on 100% of our assessed value, right? And how in other parts of the country they could be assessed values on homes, but they're only paying taxes on something, maybe 50% or 75% of tax value. Making sure that we know when people come and move to North Carolina from somewhere else, like 60% of our buyers do coming into North Carolina, are coming from somewhere else. That we need to make sure they know that here in North Carolina, homes are assessed how many years? Every 8 years. And then their assessment will be 100% of the market value. And that the government is assessing those properties every 8 years. And this was the year that the properties were assessed.
You answered my question.
Oh, good. Rusty! Rusty, thank you for asking that question. We were right here. What did we ask? ESP. When he was, Rusty wanted to know, when was the last, exactly, round nosing. I love it, Rusty. Thank you. Thank you. I love those segues. Perfect. So we were just reassessed. The property that I got the offer on this morning, my listing, remember? When we looked and did the tax assessment history, because we knew the properties were reassessed this year, 2016, here in North Carolina, and the tax value went down by $50,000. What was 8 years ago? 2008. Remember what was happening? Woohoo! Ride the train! Woohoo! Roller coaster! 2008 was when they were assessed. What happened? Ah! Ah! The roller coaster went down. So they were assessed. We were all assessed at the height. So now as we're being reassessed in 2016, their assessed value went down $50,000. $40,000. They were happy about it and sad at the same time because they feel like now their property value has gone down. And actually, it has. So, North Carolina, we know that the assessed value is supposed to be 100% of market value, knowing we do those assessments every 8 years. Every 8 years. So as Rusty's out there doing the appraisal, we said that he's going to take into account what? Dust. That was just like 3 minutes ago.
Told you everybody's waiting.
Anyways, after lunch, we had a big lunch guest and a big lunch brought in. I know, it's fabulous. So we know that Rusty's going to look at the demand. That's our D part of dust. He's going to look at the utility. Could it easily be used in the same manner now as with the new sellers? Highest and best use. Scarcity, is there a lot of them or a little bit of them? And how easy it is to transfer. See, that caffeine's kicking in now. And also, Rusty is going to go out and look at additional things that influence the appraisal as well. What's happening out there in society? All of our social forces. What's happening with the marriage rate and the divorce rate and the kids that are coming along? Economic forces. Is anything going on with new zoning? Things of that nature. And political forces. Or what's going on with the economy? What's going on with the economy? And then our political forces is the different kinds of zoning. Has any of that changed? And also, Rusty is going to be looking at any physical factors. What is the terrain of the property? What does the property physically look like? So he's taking dust into account, other forces that can affect and influence the value, what's going on with society, what's going on with the economy, what's happening with jobs, is the economy good, is it bad, the political forces, is there anything happening with the different changes in zoning, any kind of new environmental laws coming around that could affect values of properties, and the actual physical features of the property. What's the terrain look like? Those types of things. So, appraisers may have a tough job, right? They're looking at all sorts of things, the nice big picture. What's going on in our country, in our local area here in North Carolina, specifically then they start narrowing it down to the city, to the neighborhood, and to that specific home. So they're taking everything into account and then narrowing it down and bringing it all together. So as Rusty's sitting there at his desk after he's done the property, the site tour, he's gone to the home, he's looked at the home, he's taken all the measurements, what we learned about last chapter, right? Square footage guidelines. Is Rusty using the North Carolina Real Estate Commission guidelines? We know he's not, right? Who uses those? Us as real estate licensees. The appraisers have their square footage guidelines and how they measure and report square footage. So he gets back to his desk and he's going to start looking at some other things as he puts the pen to paper. He's going to be looking at the economic principles of value. We said and introduced highest and best use the first day we were together, right? Highest and best use is going to go, that 1,500 square foot ranch next door that we talked about when we were initially talking about highest and best use, is it best used as residential, which is what it's being used as now? We all agreed, no, it was going to be better used as commercial. So what Rusty's going to look at is the property being used as its most profitable use. We know that how many highest and best use do we have at one time? One. Can the property have many highest and best uses over the life of the property? Sure. We know that that can change, but you can only have one highest and best use at a time. One economic principle evaluation is highest and best use. The next one is principle of substitution. You notice the note at the bottom of the photograph up there, right? It says, please highlight. Used in all three appraisal approaches. And you're thinking, Melea, we don't even know what the three appraisal approaches are. That's not fair. You're sticking something in we don't know anything about. You're right, we do that a lot, don't we? Because we go, we struggle, don't we? The egg before the chicken, the horse before the cart. Oh, I don't know. So just highlight that right now. And then when I say, hey, here's the first approach to appraising or valuation. And let's see if we actually use the principle of substitution. So I'll introduce it every time we talk about the three approaches. It's going to be the sales comparison approach, the cost approach, and the income approach. Now we're going to see how the principle of substitution fits into all three approaches, but I want to say it here during this slide so that you know that it's going to fit in. So what is the principle of substitution? It says that if human nature prevails, that if there are similar items priced, so let's say, for instance, D has a home in the same neighborhood. We have three sellers over here. They all live in the same neighborhood. D has her home on the market for $100,000. It's in a neighborhood where there's only one floor plan. They're all built at the exact same time. Principle of substitution. D has a property for sale, $100,000. Bill says, ooh, I want to sell. I want to sell. I'm going to put my home on the market for $100,000 too. And the Rusty goes, I want to sell too. And he puts his home on the market for $105,000. Are they all the same floor plan? Principle of substitution says which houses are going to sell first. Either D's or Rusty's will sell first. Thank you, Rusty, because they've done what? D's helped their house sell, right? So one of these two at $100,000. So say D's sold first because hers went on the market first, and now we have two left. We got Bill's at 100 and Rusty's at 105. Who's is going to sell first? Bill's is, because human nature says what? If they're all about the same, you're going to buy the lowest priced one first. Then after Bill's sells, Rusty's is the only one, and his is sitting on the market for how long? Months and months and months. Months and months and months. So, principle of substitution. Given two similar properties, a buyer will purchase the least expensive of the two. Least expensive of the two. And you will use this all of the time when you're talking to sellers. Because when you're out there explaining, you're giving your pricing presentation, your comparative market analysis, that we're going to learn what that is here in a few moments. We've talked about it several times. When you're presenting your pricing and you're going through your CMA, part of your pricing presentation to your sellers, knowing that our CMA is very similar to the sales approach to valuing the property that Rusty, the appraiser, will use. So you'll be sitting there with your seller, and your seller's going to say, what? What's Rusty saying? You're going to hear it. You guys get ready, because this is what happens. Home listed for how much? $100,000? $100,000. I get to Rusty's house. Hey, Rusty. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about the services me and my firm have to offer. Have I presented him with what already? What's that little brochure? I have presented him here in North Carolina. We have to present the Working with Real Estate Agents brochure prior to receiving what kind of information? Right. Personal, confidential, financial, motivational, wants, needs, and desires. And we said that the last time you can present the Working with Real Estate Agents brochure to sellers is when? First substantial contact, and the first substantial contact has not happened by the time I go meet the house. Then when is the last opportunity here in North Carolina?
Before offer.
For a seller.
Before seller. Before your list. Before
Yes, before your listing presentation. So Rusty, we're getting ready to sit down and talk about your real estate needs. So at that point, I'm presenting Working with Real Estate Agents brochure. We're good on that, and now we're talking about pricing. Hey, Rusty, you see that your neighbors are both listed for $100,000. You have the exact same floor plan. Are you good? What would you like to list your home for sale? He says what?
120.
Yeah. Johnny says 120. Thank you, Johnny. He said 120, but I what? Continued on my pricing presentation and got him to be more, presented him with additional facts, and he decided to list for 105. And this is what he got me on. Melea, you know what? When I stand out on my back porch, I get a nice, cool breeze in the summer. Let me tell you something, Rusty says. I've been over to Bill's house, and when I stand on his back porch, it's so hot. There is no breeze whatsoever. And I've been over to Dee. She has the most lovely parties. She serves Manhattans and some other nice things. I don't know where she gets those recipes for those lovely drinks. But, ooh, Dee's just disclosed she was the best bartender in town. Rusty says, I've been over there, and you think Bill's place is hot on his back porch? Woo! Dee's is full sun. No, but I wouldn't pay more than $100,000 for her house either. But I do what? I got a cool breeze. You're going to hear it. Just get ready of how you're going to be answering that one. Okay? So principle of substitution. We're going to let Rusty know what? The principle of substitution. Human nature says when a consumer has the option of similar product, that they're going to what? Pay the lowest price. Rusty says only showings between 5 and 7 in the afternoon, and they must go out on the back deck because that's going to get me my extra $5,000. So,
I don't have that noise either.
Well, because what's Bill doing during our listing presentation, Rusty? He's mowing the lawn. He's mowing the lawn.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That
breeze is blowing it all right. His yard is nice. Y'all just get yourselves prepared because you're going to hear that yourselves. Things like that. It's adorable. But we're going to explain what? Principle of substitution. So additional economic factors that Rusty's going to look at as the appraiser. Supply and demand, we already said it, right? We were talking about dust. Is there a demand for the product, for that type of home? Is it scarce? Supply and demand. We know that, and we talked about this on our first day, that value changes as more homes like theirs come on the market. If you all put your home on the market, what are prices going to do? They're going to start decreasing. If D is the only one out there with their home on the market, like the Cary, North Carolina market is today, under $250,000, boy, anything under $250 in Cary, there was a new agent that I'm in process of training. She had her listing under $250,000 in Cary, and it went live. What's live? It has gone on the market for sale last Thursday morning. There were 23 showings scheduled for Thursday. That was first thing on Thursday morning. Thursday morning, 23 showings scheduled for Thursday. There were already 15 scheduled for Friday already, and about 5 already for Saturday. She got 4 offers. Okay? Does supply affect the value? Sure. Either higher or lower. Either higher or lower, right?
So at that moment, she can't say there's 4 offers without the buyer.
Johnny!
Without the seller.
Yes, Johnny, wonderful. Thank you for reviewing. You know how to love reviewing and applying things that we've learned before all along during the course. Yes. So with the story that I was telling, the new agent had 4 offers come in at the same time. What Johnny was reminding us is, do we tell any of the 4 agents there are multiple offers here in North Carolina?
Not without this.
Right. So what Johnny's reminding us, who do we have to ask? Right, because here in North Carolina, we must disclose material fact to both clients and customers, correct? And we said that the presence of multiple offers in no way creates a material fact in North Carolina. So we're going to practice as new agents, right? New agents, what do the experienced agents go do to you people? We're going to chew you up, spit you out, but we're not going to let that happen, right? You're going to make sure you have a good answer because the agent's going to go, hey, Brandon, are there any other offers on the property? And what are you going to say?
It's a
Great question, Melea. Let me go check with my sellers.
And let's all make sure. Round nose, Brandon, awesome.
You are a man.
You are the man. And Johnny is a man for what? Bringing up that. Excellent. Yes. Y'all are so good. Thank you. Oh, yay. Yay. Thank you so much. Yes, it is not a material fact in here in North Carolina. There are multiple offers. Okay, so we know that in that market, the price range and carry, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? Well, that's right, because if you ask those 4 buyers, all their offers were either at list price or $10,000 to $15,000 over list price. Okay, does the property have to appraise?
Doesn't have to.
Doesn't have to, that's right. We're in our appraisal chapter, our evaluation chapter now. Does it have to appraise? No, it's going to appraise whatever Rusty's opinion of value is, right? He's taking lots of factors into account. Not just say 5,000 square feet cost this to build, that's what its value is, right? Taking lots of factors into account, supply and demand. What the offer that won said, wrote out an addendum to the contract. We will not cancel the contract if the property doesn't appraise. We are willing to pay whatever the difference is between the appraised value and the sales price. We're not going to cancel. They signed that. They had their attorney draw up the proper document. Okay? So, supply and demand. So we know in that price range in carry, it is a seller's market. Seller's market. So supply and demand, it does affect the value of properties. We know that if we're out in the neighborhood and all the houses don't look quite exactly the same, right? Principle of conformity. We know when we go through neighborhoods, people get so upset because why do all the sticks look exactly the same? Remember our sticks? I won't bring it up. Remember our sticks that have the mailbox on it, right? Well, this just looks terrible. This just, all the homes look exactly the same. And look, they only have like 5 different colors. They can make the houses in here. What is that based on? Our CC&Rs, our covenants, conditions, and restrictions. We're going to know it by all the names, right? Covenants, conditions, and restrictions, our CC&Rs, our protective covenants, our restrictive covenants, because we can see it any one of those 4 ways on our classroom exam or our North Carolina real estate licensing exam. So making sure we know all things by all its names. The principle of conformity is what our CC&Rs are based on. It helps keep the property values higher. Keeping the property values higher. If everybody's kind of looks about the same and is at the same level of maintenance, right? Does anybody live next to a neighbor that has this in their yard? Yes or no? Okay, then let's say, ask this. Which one of you, you don't have to raise your hand, you know who you are, which one of you is this neighbor? Which one of you is this neighbor, right? So principle of conformity, economic factors in valuation, what Rusty's looking at and considering as he's doing that appraisal with his appraiser's license. Do we have to have a real estate license in order to do an appraisal? No, you have an appraiser's license. So what Rusty is also looking at is the idea of principles of progression and regression. It'll be the worst call you ever get. The worst call you ever get. It's not probably the worst call you ever get, it's a bad call. Oh my goodness, Samantha, thank you so much for coming over and agreeing to come over and talk to me about listing my home for sale. It's so great. You're going to be so excited. It is the biggest, best home in the neighborhood. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now I got it.
Did you get it? Oh, like it's the biggest, best home in the neighborhood. Come on over because I know what? It's going to get a fabulous price on it. You never want to be the biggest, best home in the neighborhood when it comes to valuing, because all the lesser priced homes are going to do what to your property value? Pull it down. Pull it down. What would you rather hear? We have one of the smallest, nicest homes in the neighborhood. It's surrounded by what? $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 homes, and you're thinking, yeah, that's the call I want. Because in that case, what's going to happen to that smaller home in a neighborhood that has the larger, more expensive homes? It's going to pull up the value of that smaller home. Progression and regression. Is this home going to affect the value in the neighborhood? Or, of course it's going to. Of course it's going to. So Rusty, as he's sitting out there, he's continuing to take all of these factors into account: substitution, conformity, principle of anticipation. Ooh, 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 ooh. Guess who's coming? Come on, guess who's coming? And Taylor! I was doing the brown nose, and Taylor's coming. Yes! Is that going to raise property values? Come on! Yes! It's sure! It's going to raise property values, of course. Can something coming decrease property values? Walmart. I don't want Walmart coming into my town, because we know what they bring, all of those low-income workers. That's going to just ruin the whole neighborhood. I wish we would have had a what? A Target. Target's a lot different, isn't it? Some people call it Target, but it's Target. Target. So principle of anticipation. You'll get the calls also that say, hey, guess what? We remodeled our home. Johnny, it's so different than when you were out last time. I'm so excited for you to come over and look at it because we remodeled it. And what did we make? What is Johnny going to ask me right now? He's going, oh, I hope they did what? I hope Melea did what? Got a permit. Got a permit. And what else? Do I want to breach the promises I made to the lender? He's going to say, you called the lender and got permission to do that remodeling, right? Right? Chapter 13 and 14, sure. It's like it'd be a breach of my promises I was making to the lender to not remodel without getting their permission. So you're going to get these calls and go, hey Johnny, come on over. I did all my remodeling. I spent $100,000 on cabinetry in the kitchen. You wouldn't believe it. They're solid wood. They're solid wood. When you open the doors, they have all these pulley-outy things. It's so great. It is great. And then there's all of this drawers. They have all the dividers in there, and those are made of solid wood. And it has nice lamb's wool felt in the bottom of all the drawers. And it's wonderful. The built-in trash can. It is fabulous. Fabulous. What's Johnny thinking? He's thinking dumb, but he's not going to say that out loud, right? He's thinking, oh no. He says, what, Melea? That's how, yeah, that doesn't add any value. I hope you really enjoyed those cabinets. Because, yeah.
For years to come.
Yes, for years to come. Because if you're expecting to get dollar for dollar for the cabinetry, you guessed wrong. And I wish, Johnny's thinking, I wish you would have at minimum called me before you started remodeling, because I would have provided you with the magazine, Remodeling Magazine, that talks about the contribution to the increase in value of every remodel item that you do on your home. If you spend money on cabinets, what is your return on your investment for those cabinets? If you upgraded countertops from Corian countertops to quartz or quartzite, will you get dollar for dollar back? If you upgrade the flooring, it gives you those values in this remodeling magazine. Contribution, what is Rusty saying? Rusty's our appraiser, right? He has an appraiser's license. He's going, wow, I'm saying, gosh, Johnny, I'm not going to get $100,000 back off of these all really cool things I could put inside the cabinets and the lamp spool and the wood dividers and all that. Nope, because he's going to say what? Rusty doesn't open the cabinet doors. Okay? That's what you'll say to the seller. When Johnny's going to say, I don't believe they're beautiful. Yes, the felting is very soft. But what Rusty, the appraiser, is not going to do is open your cabinets nor anybody else's. Put the bling on the outside where he can see it, not on the inside where he's not going to look. That's disappointing, Johnny. But Johnny can still be honest with you. Yes, contribution, the value of a component, parts, add or subtract to the value. At minimum, get your buyers who will then turn to be sellers. At minimum, remember that we're going to keep up with them on a regular basis and be their real estate advisor even after we put the money in the pocket, right? That's what we're going to do. We're going to keep calling them. Hey, ooh, you're thinking about remodeling. That sounds so exciting. Do you want me to come over and tell you the latest and greatest and bring the remodeling magazine so that you know what kind of return on your investment of the remodel and upgrades? And if you want to get really detailed, let's call Rusty. And let's call Rusty the appraiser in and have him give us the value that you're going to get on an appraisal for any improvements that you make. How does that sound? Is that protecting and promoting the interest of the consumer? And yeah, they love you for that. You're servicing them and being of service to them even after you put the money in the pocket, after the sale.